Well, on my ride to work this morning, as in Wednesday, you know, I'm listening to the radio and stuff, and they're talking about how like 10 million Floridians were out of power by this hurricane, you know, Hurricane Irma. Now, while the southern part of the state, I could definitely understand, because that's where it was the most powerful when it came in. Miami was still hit, you know, pretty hard, even though it didn't really go in over on Miami side. You know, Naples is kind of where it came in at, roughly. Marco Island and stuff down there. But we're like halfway up the state. And the thing dissipated pretty significantly by the time it got up our way. And, you know, the interesting thing is the amount of people without power. They're saying it was the most people without power in the history of the state of Florida. Okay? So that's how, even though this storm, again, we know it was very wide, saying it was like the widest storm, you know, really hurricane, I don't know why we keep calling it a storm, freaking hurricane, that Florida's ever seen as far as the size of it. But again, it weakened pretty significantly once it hit land. Wasn't that strong of winds up where I was at. My sister actually never lost power. They said it flickered maybe a couple times, and that was it. Stayed on pretty much the whole time. But as I'm hearing some of this stuff on the radio, the description, what I already know, we're still without power, by the way. It's Wednesday. We lost power at 10:30 p.m. Sunday night. And as I go to work this morning, we are still without power. Again, man, double fingers crossed that it finally comes back today. And they said there was, last time I looked, at least for Tampa Electric Company, which is the one that provides power all around here. I haven't looked this morning at all. I'm assuming it's a bit better, but there was like 200-something thousand, maybe 250,000 or just over 200,000, something like that, homes that they service anyways without power. And we use TECO's, you know, Tampa Electric Company. So I'm assuming, you know, we're getting close. Now, Pinellas County, I just heard on the radio, there was still around 1 million, I think, 900,000 or something, some high number like that in Pinellas County. Now, that county is pretty much on the coast, the west coast here, you know, the Gulf side. And I'm not surprised at all that that one, you know, that area's got more people without power. Number one, generally speaking, more people live by the coast across the planet. Most people live, you know, I think they say 85% of the world's population basically is right on the coast, so to speak, within, you know, 2-3 miles kind of a thing. Or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but, you know, so again, not surprising, you got a lot more people there. And again, you have a lot less wind and, not wind, a lot less structure, trees, things like that to slow down the winds. You know, when it first comes offshore, these hurricanes, it's going to hit hardest right offshore. So obviously, you know, no surprise there. However, as I'm hearing all this stuff though, with these, you know, incredibly high numbers and never had that many people with power out, you know, all that stuff. All I'm thinking about is some previous WebBot reports, Alta reports, that talked about the just-in-time, you know, system failing. And I mean, I'm looking at a car right now. I can't really show you. Little Toyota Corolla or something. He's got 2 gas cans, like 5 gallons or whatever they are, strapped to the roof of his car. Does that mean his trunk is full of gas? You know, I don't know. Or maybe he just doesn't want the smell getting back in there in the car. But and yesterday I saw the same thing, except a guy had like this little, I think what it was on the back of your car, if you have a trailer hitch, they make these little wheelchair ramps that come out maybe 2 feet, and then they're about the width of the car, so probably about like 2 feet by 4 feet or something like that. Except there wasn't no wheelchair on it. It was chock full of gas cans, you know, red 5-gallon gas cans, and they're heading south, you know. But I'm seeing all this stuff, hearing all this stuff, and I'm thinking again, you know, the just-in-time system failing. They're still out of gas. There's a major gas problem in Florida still, where they can't get enough gas out here. And you got all the people who left the state coming back in droves, and they're showing you know, video of that on TV of just not quite a parking lot on the interstate, but damn close, barely crawling, if anything, all the way back in. And that's one of the reasons a long time ago we decided, my wife and I, we're going to be, you know, city preppers, because we live in the city, and have everything we need to stay, which I did have a generator back then. I had all those things. But after sitting for years, you know, when I first got it, I had to test the thing, you know, got to make sure it works. And, of course, the carburetor stuff gets gummed up. Next thing you know, the things aren't running right. Again, this was years ago, like right before we moved to Tennessee even. And by then, we're like, all right, we're going to sell this thing. Or, anyway, not even sell. I think we gave it away to a friend. But, and long story short, now that we're back, we've always been, you know, city preppers. Now we just started living out in the country a little bit. But we don't own the house, as I've explained. Can't put up a bunch of stuff, can't put up solar panels, can't put up all these things until we actually own the house, which should hopefully be this coming week. But do you remember Webbot talking about these failed, you know, this diaspora, massive diaspora, people on the interstate, stuck parking lots, you know, like storms coming through, that sort of stuff while people are stuck on the interstate. Again, the just-in-time system failing, which is happening right now with many grocery stores, by the way, still cleaned out. Food-wise, canned goods, still cleaned out. Water, some of them are getting water back, but some of them are still cleaned out on that. And then, of course, gasoline, one of the most important things you need just in time. And again, just heard the radio, I just shut it off to talk about this in the video. And you know, we're trying to get it back, you know, down into Florida as fast as possible. There is a shortage still, yada yada yada. Because here's the other thing: not only are people needing it for their cars, there's a number of people who do have generators and they're running generators and things. And then there's other people, again with their cars, having to go out kind of far to get gas, so they fill up their car gas tank and then take 4 or 5, or however many they can handle, maybe more, gas cans, all 5 gallons each, so 5 gallons times 5 gas cans, 25 gallons worth of gas, again, maybe more, and they're taking that back to wherever they live because they're having a problem, you know, the only one gas station in town is open, and then by the time they get there, the thing, you know, all the gas is gone. So there's, you know, again, we're still hearing stories about that. Good news for me, and most people around here, at least in Brandon, Florida, where I work, everything's pretty much up and running out this way. So gas stations are up, most of them anyways. Some of them I drove by yesterday, and a couple of them anyways, they were still closed. But for the most part, I mean, if I needed to get gas, which I don't because I'm electric, I'll plug in as soon as I get to work here shortly. I could get gas if I needed to. But again, I'm just thinking the Webbot stuff. And you can make a simple argument, oh, well, as soon as a hurricane comes in, Webbot's going to be right. But let's think about this for a second. We've never had a storm of this magnitude, this Hurricane Irma, which dissipated over the state of Florida, but yet still caused massive power outages across the freaking state. I mean, we've had the most power outages by far. We've set a record now. And we had essentially a mass diaspora of people fleeing the state like never before, by the way. Never before. That many people on the roads. And now coming back in. And now the Webbot was created right around the year 1997 by, you know, Cliff High. He was trying to create something that could kind of do what it does, send the spiders out, get information, language off the internet, and essentially help him make better, you know, good stock picks or something, you know. And he quickly found out that it was bringing back things like terrorism, buildings collapsing, airplanes, you know. Next thing you know is 9/11 happens. And he's like, okay, well, the hell with stocks and whatnot. The hell with stocks. This is pretty interesting here. So he, you know, he went forward with just the Webbot. Now he's trying to focus, as you know, on the crypto stuff as opposed to the Alta reports, because he had to pick one of two right now, and that's the one he picked, which, again, I'm glad he picked that one because he can help us all make some money with those webbot reports, or the webbot slash Bitcoin, whatever, bare naked wealth reports. But that's when he started. So let me ask you, if his webbot stuff started in '97, then we've never seen a storm, hurricane, anything that's done what this one has done, caused more diaspora out of Florida, especially. Power outages, all of it. Gas shortages like we've never seen also. You name it. Like all this bad language in the webbot that talked about this kind of stuff is now being filled by just the state of Florida, and you could add Texas, Houston area as well. It just happened there. Now it's happened in Florida. We've got 2 or 3 other hurricanes out there now. God help us, one of those things come this way, another one, and that goes for Texas or us in the state of Florida too, So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you could argue, oh, well, as soon as a hurricane comes through, but we've had a couple of hurricanes since the webbot was created. Nothing like this. We did have Katrina, which at the time was the worst one. Now, Katrina's not looking like it might have been the worst one anymore. And, look at the damage costs. The hundreds of billions of dollars both Texas, the hurricane from Texas and Florida are now causing. They haven't even have it all tallied up yet. So, I think this language is being filled right now, as today, September 2017. Nothing else has even come close. And we didn't know, it would be essentially a hurricane that did this. Nobody knew that. That would be the cause of what I think, again, is the webbot getting this right. But I really think it is. And do you remember not that awfully long ago, one of the webbot reports talked about this like hurricane-sized storm that we would see? That would be like taking up, like it would go across the United States. Remember that? Remember that language in that report? That was, maybe it was last year. Remember that? This giant hurricane-like storm that's gonna go be like the size of, the United States going across, that kind of a thing. Now, this particular one that just passed, I don't know that it was big enough to, it was over 500 miles wide, so I don't think that's going to quite cover, the bottom part of the United States to the top part, or south to north in size, but, we hadn't seen one this big yet. Is the next one going to be that big? And are we going to see these storms that may not necessarily be considered a hurricane, but maybe have tropical storm force winds, that kind of thing, that does sweep across like the entire U.S.? Is it going to be 1 or 2 hurricanes that, come off in the Atlantic and then somehow get pushed across the United States from east to west and cause massive power outages? Again, it doesn't take, hurricane force winds to do that. I didn't have hurricane force winds here and still got the power out, so anyway, just thought I'd talk about that on the way to work. Take care.